Recording in progress.
Awesome. Yeah. Hello, everyone. This is Interop testing call number 3. This is April 14th. We are discussing today spectral testing in general, Interop testing. I'm leading today, so yeah, let's get just started. There are 3 agenda items today. Vector testing, peer DAS testing, and UF testing. And there are a couple of comments in the PM repo that we should go into. But yeah, I guess we can start with vector testing discussion. I can go over just basically the notes in the PM repo right now, but does anybody else have any status update that we want to give about Vectra at the moment?
I'm still currently just testing the MEV workflow locally. Hopefully by the end of the week, I will be able to build some Vector blocks on Kurtosys.
Cool. Is there any other details about this? Are you testing using MEV boost or?
Yeah, I'm using a MEV boost and I'm using our builder because the get builder has been deprecated. So our builder with the Flashbots MEV relay and their MEV builder. And also after that, once that's sorted, then I will begin testing for Flu.
Yes, Maris?
So I went over all of the tests for Pectra because I had a feeling, and a few others maybe also had a feeling, that we are kind of like under tested for Pectra. So I went over all of this again and did another round of basically review of the testing, both on EL and CL. I found a few things. I think in total it was 23 edge cases that I found, both on EL and CL. But they are being addressed, and I'm pretty sure none of them will create any sort of issues. But with that, I am pretty confident about testing. And the only thing that I'm currently working on some tests to do transaction pool testing, because that is something that I feel is also kind of missing in general from our testing pipeline. So I'm currently working on some kind of basic scripts that just do a bunch of these 7702 edge cases, blob blob fuzzing, blob testing, things, just to see that that all of the pools are kind of healthy and don't end up crashing and burning in these kind of edge case scenarios. Yeah, that's it.
I just want to circle back to the edge cases. I'm assuming we're working on the implementation of the test cases, or do you mean you are writing tests right now, or I'm guessing that the East team we should do it, right? Or what's the angle?
Well, I think they are. I don't know if you looked into our Geth and East Discord group, but I think Spencer is writing a bunch of them now, and on the consensus layer. Justin has already pushed a bunch of them, and I think is working on more.
Awesome. I think once they're written, I think we should like run it against all the clients, and just to make sure that there's nothing there. Yeah. And yeah, Justin shared the pull request where he's implementing tests. We should do the same for East. In general, one side note that I wanted to bring up is that we are working on, at least on the East side, we're working on postmortems for testing. So any test that is found that was not found by the original uh, tests that were written, we should like do a write-up about that. We haven't done it in the past, but we're going to start to do it. And this should include all the edge cases that you mentioned, Marius, to see why were they missed and what we can do in the repository to improve, not missing them, or similar test cases, not missing them again. But that's work in progress. Yeah, thank you for taking a look at the tests. All right. Any comments on this? Does anybody have any questions about how we're gonna run this updated tasks or any other questions?
So will you about to provide compiled tests so we can run against? Because I don't see the minimal tests attached to it. So what's the plan there?
Yeah, I can try to, well, I'll share these with the clients. After merging it, I'll initiate like a nightly build of the spec tests, and then we can run them with that.
Cool, thanks.
On the yield side, we should prepare another release for the test too. It's probably gonna take until the end of the week until we're able to release. But we will make sure to run it with every client on Hive beforehand. Yep. Any other question regarding specs testing?
I have a. Oh, Pete, go.
Oh, sorry. Go for it, Justin.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask if clients have the ability, if all CL clients have the ability to run nightly spec tests. I know a couple do. I'm not sure if all do. Is there anyone that doesn't have the ability to do this? Okay. Terrence says we don't, but we can support. Okay. Yeah, we can talk more about that later, I guess. Thanks.
If you want to talk about it now, it's fine. Anyway, yes, sorry, Dan.
Oh yeah, no worries. I just wanted to add that Marius's comments have been added to an issue by Spencer. It's in the stealth repository at the moment, so it's not entirely public. Just while we go through it all. And we realize that it's quite last minute for more releases for client teams. We'll be running the tests against all the clients ourselves. And if we find anything, we would raise it. But as Marius said, he doesn't expect any of these things to trigger any unexpected behavior, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Awesome. All right. I guess we can move on. There's two topics in the PM repo. One was raised by Spencer. This is regarding the new modified withdrawal contract tests. I think they were causing a lot of issues in some of the clients, but maybe they were test case issues. Sorry, Spencer, if you can expand up a little bit on this. Anything that you want to share?
Yeah, I can go quickly. So some of you know that within the testing team, we've been reviewing the coverage over all the EIPs. And one of our new team members, Felix, wrote these tests, which essentially modify the maximum allowed withdrawals within a withdrawals request, and modify the code in the contract. So it's something which, in theory, would never happen, right? But it's still an interesting case. So I say this, or preface this first, that it's not critical. But yeah, this was flagged in the Interop channel last week from Bezu, because, or at least my understanding is that there's confusion that the system contract changes have added confusion here. So essentially, with these new test cases, we have, from my understanding, Bezu and Reth, when they call the modified contract code, they correctly produce an invalid block based on the new changes to the system contract. But Geth and Aragon correctly call the contract code. So, sorry, Bezu and Reth produce an invalid block, and Geth and Aragon produce a valid block. But based on my understanding, it's what's happening is both correct on both sides. And the key difference is that Bezu and Reth call the contract code and it triggers a stack underflow within them. Geth and Aragon call the contract code and they don't trigger any errors, they call it correctly. So I guess I wanted to bring up to see if clients care about looking deeper and whether the call that's causing an error actually matters, because it's not something that would happen in practice. But if clients do care about looking deeper, it's something that could make things slightly more robust. I'm aware that it's not the highest priority, but if clients care, yeah.
Anyone from Besu or Reth or Get or Aragon that want to comment?
I can just say from Besu's side, I mean, we think it's just, that's a very theoretical edge case, and I mean we can of course make changes, but we should just write down in the spec how this case should be handled. I think then we can do that. I mean, as Spencer said, I mean, it's not urgent because the current contracts cannot change, but yeah, for the future, in case this somehow happens, I mean, it would be best to just clarify it really in the spec. And I don't know, I don't really have a strong opinion which is the correct case, I would say.
I guess I'd also add, I'd be interested to know why Bezu and Reth it triggers a stack underflow with Bezu and Reth and not with the other clients. That's yeah.
Yeah, I still need to look into it exactly, but I'm not sure.
From Aragon, I could just tell you that the modified behavior for the EIP change hasn't yet been merged. So if indeed there was an issue because of the modified contract, Aragon would just silently ignore it and go about its business producing the block.
I guess I can expand a little bit on the motivation on why this test case was produced. Basically, the idea is that it doesn't matter what the contract gives us. It can, I mean, it cannot fail as it is. But what happens if it fails? I guess the purpose of the test case is to have all clients aligned, so they have the same response, whatever this extraneous behavior. It's really unlikely that we run into something like this. But if it was the case that we ever run into something like this, that we should like handle it the same way. But yeah, I'm not I don't understand right now what happened on the consumption of the test, but I can take a deeper look to see if we can find the culprit. Yeah. Any other comments regarding this?
I guess the last thing I'd add is, yeah, if Bezu and Reth are interested in looking at why the stack underflow occurs and they have the time, then that would be amazing. If not, it's not a big deal, and we can skip these tests in the next release.
Yeah, we will definitely look into this.
Also, Nethermind is mentioning if they were not executed with it, or did they pass, or what was the? If there's no response now, I think we can just take a look later. But yeah, I think we should run with Nethermind. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I didn't look deep into it, but it looked like a slightly different response. But nothing major.
Okay, cool. All right, moving on. The next topic. This is something I erased on the PM repo. So basically, I'm gonna share the link to the comment. I just shared it in the chat. Yeah, this is we found a couple of issues last week by inspecting the exceptions that every single execution client gave us when running the vector tests. There were some exceptions that caught our eye, and basically we found out that they were not hitting the expected handler exception or invalid case handler. So in general, we have this set of invalid block tests that we run, and basically when we run them in Hive, we just expect the client to reject the block. But in these specific cases, they were rejecting because there was a mismatch in the receipts, or a mismatch in the gas used, or a mismatch in the stage route. I'm gonna put a link to a little bit to a deeper analysis on this, and the reasons why we did it. But basically, it boils down to do we want to make this a consistent check? What I mean is that do we want for Hive to check to be strict on the exceptions that it verifies, not only pass the test if there was a rejection. And the issues that we found last week is that this is required. This is needed to some degree for us to catch these tests. The downside is that one, we have to maintain a list of exceptions, an exception mapper for every single client. So for example, right now we have a PR in East that adds an exception mapper for Go Ethereum, one for Nethermind, and so on and so forth. And we will have to update this when we write new tests that generate more kinds of exceptions. And also, if the client for some reason modifies the error messages that they return when some invalidation occurs, it will also generate now a failure in Hive tests, not because there was an incorrect behavior, but rather because the exception just changed. So all in all, I think my question to the client teams is this something that does everyone here seem like is something that we are capable of like dealing with? Is it going to be an issue? I mean, from East side, what I can say is that we can try to maintain this list, this is exception mapping list, up to date. One option is that we always maintain it to up to date, and we always run with this strict exception mapping. And the other option is that we disable it and we only enable it once we are like deeper in the fork cycle. So we see less false positives, and you guys are like more free to modify the exceptions if you have any modifications to do. Yeah, I think overall my question to client teams right now is: do you often modify the exceptions strings? Is this a problem that you see that we maintain such a list? Yeah, Lucas.
So generally, we don't really modify the exception strings often, almost never. But if we want some hard mapping, maybe for at least for those errors that we want to test for, we should create some kind of error code in payload status and just define it in spec.
Yep, absolutely. In my opinion, the place to have an exception mapping or an exception list that is canonical is yields, and we should have it there and just rely on that to see. Yeah, I think we should have this list and also use it in yeast. Yeah. So Dano mentions that yeah, it brings us exceptions into the protocol. I agree. Yeah, I agree that this is a protocol change. My my argument is that, I mean, we don't have to make it part of the protocol, maybe just part of testing, and we just have a lot of care of updating these lists. Yeah.
So yeah, to expand on that, I mean, there's some situations where there's two things going wrong. Then we have to choose which error string is more important, or we have to encode that both error strings are acceptable. A classic example would be if a log is wrong. Not only will the log be incorrect, but the root hash will be incorrect. And for performance reasons, a lot of clients will just look at the root hash and not even consider the rest of it and move on.
This could be handled in a test and still be like that it needs to return one of the errors, right? And we could just specify the test like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we do now. So for example, for the requests hash exceptions, there were some clients that were rejecting because of the block hash was incorrect, and the others were rejecting because the request hash was incorrect. This is encoded in the test. The test expects either of those exceptions because it understands that the logic can be different. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for us. We haven't already been doing, so we can just keep on accepting multiple exceptions for very specific tests. Yeah. Any counterpoints that anyone wants to raise or concerns? I would be very interested in hearing those.
So if we want to continue what's being done here, like parsing the exception strings, etc., it would be really good for the client teams to know which exceptions are you relying on, and even to the point that if they are changing it, they should know that they might just submit a PR there for the parsing, right?
That's a great idea. Yeah, I can share. I'm going to share it on the Discord after this call. We basically have 5 different files, and it's just a very simple Python dictionary. So it should be very.
To
Sorry?
be honest, in Nevermind, I would just find where this error string is being. What I plan to do, find where this error string is being created or used, and just put a link there. If you update this, update that, and put a link to the mapper. And if we do that in potentially even all the like in a comment, right, or something, if we make that, we can kind of link it so it will be linked in a way. That's
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm gonna share after this call links to each mapper that we're using. Just for everyone to be aware that where their exceptions are. Yep. Oh, thanks. And Dan just shared an example. This example is for this is for Grow Ethereum, and yes, as you can see, it's basically just a dictionary, and yeah, it contains all the exceptions that are expected from Go Ethereum. All right. If there are no more comments, we can move on. The next item is give me a second. Is peer testing. Okay. Let me go back. Is there anything else that we want to discuss regarding Petra? Any other topics?
I'd just like to add, just in case anyone missed it, it's very easy to configure the client version that's tested in the Hive Pectra dashboard that's currently only really relevant for the EL. So it's just a few links there. I'll add it to the issue as well. So as you create your release branch, you're very welcome to specify that as the version tested that you can see in this dashboard. Otherwise, just leave it as master, whatever suits you best.
I guess one remaining for Pectra would be that I think we decided that we will do attestation performance analysis once all stable releases are out, or at least majority, so we can get a proper final analysis. Unless someone thinks it might be good to do another analysis today or this week. So just based on some metrics I looked at, it looks already better in the last 7 days, but the data is still a bit strange, I think, because not all nodes are updated with the bug fixes, I think.
Thank you, Nico. Do you have a link to the results? Just as a refresher.
Luca shared something in the chat above, but this is from a previous analysis. I'm really just mostly looking at attestation performance from Lodestar nodes. But yeah, this metric might be a bit misleading as well because we basically put our RC on all our nodes, so that could be a factor as well. Did some improvements there, but yeah, I think it makes sense. Or I guess the question is it urgent to do another analysis, or are we okay and just go with it and just say, yeah, wait for the stable release and then confirm that it's a lot better, I guess. But then it would be really close to mainnet already, so.
Yeah, I guess this is a question for other CLs. How confident do you guys feel about the current status of attestation performance? Any other clients comments?
Yeah, we're not planning at this point to release a new version for the mainnet release. I think it's good enough, the current, and it may be too risky for us to even try to make a release with these odd changes that we are still analyzing. So it will be something for future release for sure at this point.
Got it. Thanks. Terence, your thumbs up, I guess it means that you guys are feeling okay with it too?
We're okay with it.
Great. Any other teams that want to chime in with their current situation? All right. I guess we can move on.
One
Yep.
to mention, I've put a message in the chat. We now have a bot in the Discord ETH chat that is able to build client images for you. So this is very similar to the tool we had at the Interop event. If you guys want other triggers, actions, etc., that you want to perform without having to wait for someone to do it for you, then let us know and we can help automate it.
That is very cool. Yeah. Any comments on this? Yeah, from the Discord, it appears that Barnabas mentions that there's no built-in arguments yet, but I'm guessing that at some point. Yeah. Okay, cool. Moving on, is there anything else from Pectra? Any comment from anyone? Concerns or comments? Yeah. All right. Looking good. That's great. Yeah, I think we can move on. Pierre Das. Does anybody have the current status of Pierre Das regarding DevNets?
Yep. I can give a quick update. So DevNet 5 is going down today, end of today. I've announced it on last week already that we would like to shut it off. And if anyone wants to keep it around for longer than end of day today, then please let us know. Otherwise, we're gonna be shutting it down. Previous DevNet 6 has been around 75 to 76% participation. Most of the Nimbus nodes are fine. There's a syncing bug that they have. Currently, it's work in progress, as far as I know. Maybe Agnish is here to give us an update. There was also some issues with Grandine and Rest, and a few random Rest nodes with Lighthouse. But I've notified everyone about it, and they're probably looking into it.
Okay, thanks. Any comments on this? Opinions or concerns? And from the chat, Roman says that they are seeing degraded block processing times, potentially due to the machines being used, and they are currently looking into it.
Yeah, so like going forward, we might be opting in for a bit beefier machines because we noticed that PreDAS does require a bit more compute, a bit more RAM usage. So yeah, we've just been trying to keep costs low as possible. I guess there's no way forward for Fusca DevNet 0. We're going to be using 16 gigs and 8-core machines.
And Baritosh mentions that they were using 8 gigs until now. All right. Any other comments from clients regarding this? Regarding the higher resource usage for PeerDAS? By the way, is this expected?
Yeah, there's a lot more computation that happens as well as we're testing with a higher block count than before. So there's just more things that need to be stored in the RAM. And yeah, I think it's relatively expected that 8 gig machines won't be able to handle it. I mean, they can't really handle mainnet anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the validators is significantly lower here. So 8 gig machines should still be okay. And ideally, we want to keep testing with 8 gigs machines. But if we see too many nodes struggling with it, then we will have to bump it.
Rafael mentions whether this is a problem, this resource problem is only happening on supernodes, or is this a common problem, regardless of whether it's a supernode or not.
Yep, it's right now it looks like it's mostly present on supernodes.
All right. Yeah, any comments regarding PeerDAS? Any specific issues that were found by clients during this that should be brought up or maybe just broadcasted?
One more thing. So MEV workflow should in theory be working now also with Fulu, thanks to Justin's latest branches. Ideally, I should also be able to get that working in QTSS by end of the week. We have some small bugs to iron out and figure out what's up with the relay. But once that's done, then it should be all good.
Nice. Very good. Okay. I guess no more comments for PeerDAS. I think we can move on. Or
maybe one more thing regarding BPO. I'm not sure if you would want to bucket that into the same topic as PeerDAS.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So last week, Justin made a proposal regarding the BPO work format. I hope every client team had a chance to take a look at that and give some feedback.
Can you share the link in the comment, please?
I'll share them. 1 second.
Do we have a open PR, by the way? I think it was just a Discord link for now. Yeah.
Here's the saying that he thinks they should just be like normal hard forks on EL.
I don't think the major question here is the EL side, to be honest.
I agree. I think the CL side is a bit more controversial.
Yep.
I'm not sure the client teams have had a chance to really think about this. We might need to bring it up at the PeerDAS call tomorrow.
Are there any comments from CLs? Or do you want to revisit it in another call? Once they have enough time to review this? Enrico mentions that he is going to review it today. About other clients? If not, we can just delegate it to another call. All right, and we'll. Yep, sorry.
We are open to other ideas as well. Like there might be a better idea, or like configuration format wise.
And Will mentions that there's going to be a discussion item for tomorrow in a PeerDAS meeting. Yep. Manu mentions also that they're reviewing for Prism. Yep. Great. All right. Since there's not that much discussion to happen today, we should be able to move on. All right. And the next item in the list is EOF. So Dano, I think you were there.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're getting close to being able to sunset EOF DevNet 0 and move on to DevNet 1. Over last week, I was able to get a branch from Rafi Tech of Aragon implementing EOF through both the transaction, the execution fuzzer and the validation fuzzer. And they had a good couple clean days to run on it. So we got those ironed out. So we got 6 clients that run clean on execution tests now. And that's for EOF 0. For EOF DevNet 1, we started merging in tests in the EEST, and we have only one more PR waiting. And at that point, the main branch of EEST will have all of the backwards incompatible changes committed. This last one has to do with the max stack size designation from a maximum stack size to a maximum stack increase. That is expected to merge here in the next day or two. I can give the PR number of clients are interested in it. I think I mentioned it in the Discord. But from this, the other clients can start implementing and testing EOF DevNet v1 with their code and making sure it complies with the EEST tests. And from this, I can get the fuzzers updated. We'll need to add in a transaction fuzzer step as well, because the TX create, one of the major adds for this version, adds a new transaction type. So I'll need to update the transaction fuzzer to start fuzzing the init code transaction types. Besu and EVM1 already test cleanly with these tests that we have committed or about to commit in EEFT. So there is validation. And when we get more clients, we can start getting into the full fuzzing. There's probably going to be a change in TX Create coming up a little bit, since we didn't get EIP 7666 in. The notion of a pre-deploy is probably going to be not going to go over too well with clients. So one thing we have right now is we have TX Create exposed to legacy. That probably will continue. But we're also looking into other minor changes, such as either using Nix method to deploy the pre-deploy to a different address rather than the precompile range, or allow 2 equals nil in the init to code transaction, and semantics on how that would work. So it would work a lot more like existing create transactions. That's something we're going to hammer out on this Wednesday's EOF call. But in general, it simplifies a lot of the deployment. We're removing the entire need to get an infrastructure to pre-deploy contracts, which we were hoping to dovetail with 7666 if that went through. But since that's solidly out of Fusaka, we are not going to be going that route with pre-deploy in the precompile range. That was the original spec design, but we're going to go ahead and simplify that with that. EOF DevNet 1 by Wednesday? No, it's still targeting turning it on about the time frame of Pectra launching. So we still need to have at least a week or two for the other client teams who don't have DevNet 1 implemented yet to implement them. I know Rest's got a branch out there. I haven't looked into the RAVF stuff. Haven't tried that yet. The implementation spec is the PRs were updated, and the DevNet 1 markdown page that I don't have it on hand easily, that was put up not by Mario but by Perry, I think, lists all the changes that we're doing. Let me find it. Yes, ETHPAN ops DevNet 1. So that's listing all the changes, and it's got the PR links to the PRs to the EIPs that are being updated. So that's a summary of the deltas of the spec. The spec should be the EIPs once those PRs merge.
There's a comment on the chat whether this is just EOF, and that's my understanding, right? Only EF, no peer DAS.
Right. These are only
Definitely
changes
one.
to EOF.
Cool. I think we need to merge a couple of things to EAST. And then we can make a release for DevNet 1, and then we can test all the clients, and then we can launch DevNet.
And I want to get some fuzzing time as well before we launch the DevNet.
There are a couple of tests that I want to write also for TX Create, because we have different RLP tests for Type 4 that we want to like generalize and bring up for newer transaction formats. So I think I want to put some time into that. I don't think it's blocking for definitely one. We can defer it and
Okay.
generate the test afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that might change is we might start allowing 2 equals nil. That'll be resolved by Wednesday.
Okay, cool. Any comments from clients regarding status of EOF implementation? What's the status from everyone?
For the EOF implementation, for us, we were waiting on the DevNet 1 spec. It seems like that kind of stabilized, so we will implement this in the coming week or two.
Roman mentions in the chat that they have a branch for Red. Any other comments from other teams? Nevermind, Bisu, Aragon, JS.
I have a branch for base who fully implementing it. That's what we used to. That EVM one is what used to validate the tests.
And the other teams, do you guys have a timeline or what's the status?
For Aragon, I think it's a work in progress with the tests, and we have a different branch as well, I think, with more fixes other than the one that was mentioned by Dano, or other than the RacyTech branch. Milan from our team is working on it. I'll urge him to join these calls next week. And I think more and more fixes will keep happening, but I'm not able to comment on the timeline yet.
All right, yeah, that's a good point. I think many devs that are working on EOF are not in this call. But yeah, if you can surface any information in Discord, that would be great, so we can start coordinating on the level 1 release. All right. Yeah. Any other concerns or topics for EOF that anyone wants to raise? Or questions regarding the spec also? I think that's pretty valid. Yeah, Johan mentions that they are also implemented the 1 spec. All right. If there are not any other EOF topics, does anybody else have any other topic that they want to raise that is not related to PeerDAS EOF or maybe Petra? Going at 1, going at 2, going at 3. All right. I think that's everything I got for today. Thanks everyone for joining. There's a question from Barnabas about the branch for Ethereum. Yes, if you cannot bring it now, I think we can just continue it on Discord. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. I think that's all. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
But
Thanks.